Yeah, but then I'd have to do more work. Okay, so I can already see that this probably is tough to read, so we're going to switch back to, I might have just messed this up here. Oh, perfect, this is what I want. So today we're working on drawing conclusions. If you picked up your work today at home, you're going to need a worksheet in a couple of minutes. I'll tell you what that is when we get there. If you haven't, you're probably just going to want to follow along, and then maybe when you actually get your work and have that worksheet, it'll be easier. So when we draw conclusions, we talked about this last week a little bit. Drawing conclusions means, is there a way to make this bigger? People on the Zoom, can you see that better? Yeah. Perfect. So when we draw conclusions, we want to form an opinion. Everyone else is following along. This is 198. We want to form an opinion based on our background knowledge or on the facts and details stated in the text. A lot of times when you're reading, it's going to be something from the text. But if you're reading about something that you know about, you may be able to have some background knowledge. So an example from my life would be something like when I read articles, when I used to coach baseball, and I would be looking for drills, and I would be reading about different hitting approaches, I would use some of the background that I'd say, oh, well, that makes sense. I've never thought about doing it that way. But I had some background knowledge and also on those things and different things. So if you're familiar with the content, you can use your background knowledge. You can draw a conclusion while you read or after you read. So I think good readers, or people who are good at reading, make sure you're paying attention. I think good readers, or people that read well, while they're reading, you're trying to form that conclusion. You're trying to figure out, what's the point of all of this? What am I supposed to take away? But you can also read the whole thing. Like when I'm reading for my master's, I don't highlight while I read. I read and then I think to myself, that seems like it's important. I draw a conclusion that that's important. I go back and I highlight what I just read. I'm not highlighting as I read because then I'd highlight everything. I can't think and highlight. Do you guys get that? So you're always looking for that conclusion, but you kind of also have to take a little break sometimes and think, what's the point? Is that important? Make sense? Okay. Check an author's conclusions or your own conclusions by asking, is this the only logical choice? That's one thing you can ask. Is this the logical choice? Are the facts accurate? So that's another thing that I challenge you to think about. Because people can write anything they want. It doesn't necessarily mean that's true. Sometimes if there's facts, you have to go and check those. Is this true? Make sense? Use the graphic organizer below to help you draw conclusions about the kind of dog Tumbleweed is as you read Chasing After Tumbleweed. So I'm going to draw this over on the board. If you have a piece, well, at home you guys can help too, I guess. If you're here, you're just going to help me fill this out. Pew! 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 Does everyone see what I got going on right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Story structure. Good readers note the structure of a story they are reading in order to better understand the text. In fiction, most story events are arranged by sequence or in time order. So think about the books that we're reading, or that you might be reading. Like in The Man Who Was Poe, does it jump from the end to the beginning to the middle to the beginning to the end? No, it progresses from the beginning to the end. Now some stories do that. Sometimes they'll have a flashback in there, or there's some movies that I can't think of. I know I've seen shows or movies where they work in reverse. They'll say, they'll start at the end and then work their way to the beginning. And those Those get kind of confusing, I feel like, but it's kind of an interesting way to do it. But generally, you start at the beginning and work to the end. So here we go, chasing after Tumbleweed. I'm going to read through it first, then we're going to fill this sheet up. Every morning, Tumbleweed barks. Oh, I'll make it bigger. People at home, can you see? At least better? Okay. Every morning, Tumbleweed barks at the front door until we let him out to play. He loves to run all over the ranch. Some days, I find him miles away at the southern border of our ranch. He knows that's where the prairie dogs hide. He loves to chase them. Getting him to come home every day is my job. It isn't an easy one. Sometimes I can convince my bus driver to stop on our way home to pick up Tumbleweed. Make it quick, the driver always says. Everyone wants to get home. That may be true, but no one seems to mind the wait as they pile to the side of the bus so they can laugh as they watch me chase Tumbleweed. Okay, skill. Why does the bus driver stop for the narrator? Why does the bus driver stop for the narrator? Autumn, why do you think the bus driver stops for the narrator? Okay, could be because everybody's entertained. Did anybody have a different reason? Must be entertaining for everyone to watch. Elizabeth.
So we can get Tumbleweed.
So he can get Tumbleweed so that maybe he doesn't have to walk so far home. Mackenzie.
Because he convinced his driver so he could grab Tumbleweed.
Okay, because he convinced him to do it. All right. Yeah, Parker.
Because he's nice.
Maybe he's a nice guy. Yesterday, Dad helped me look for Tumbleweed in the helicopter. Dad uses the helicopter to drop hay to the cattle now that it's winter. For hours, we flew all over the ranch looking for Tumbleweed, but there was no sign of him. It was getting darker and colder by the minute. Where could he be? Thankfully, my dad knows his cattle well. When he saw one cow flicking back snow with its hooves, he knew something was bothering him. He landed the helicopter and told me to go look under the cow. There he was. I'm going to have to teach Tumbleweed that it's warmer and safer underneath my bed. Okay. So now, we want to know what kind of dog Tumbleweed is. We're drawing conclusions. So, in these two spots right here, we want facts and or details about Tumbleweed that's going to help us draw a conclusion. It's kind of like what we did in writing today. So, look back at the story and try and find people at home. You might have to think about the story. It's a little harder to do at home. Think about the story. What's the facts that we know about Tumbleweed? I'm going to give you a minute to think. Mackenzie, what's one fact about Tumbleweed?
A fact about Tumbleweed is that he runs around and doesn't stay in the southern part of his side.
Okay, so we would say this marker's dying is one thing we'd say.
Yeah. Yep.
He runs all over the ranch. That's one fact about him. Anybody else? Okay, I got a couple people, so we'll draw sticks and see. Delia, do you have another fact about Tumbleweed?
You know where the
Okay? He likes to chase animals, maybe is what we'd say, right? Because he doesn't just chase the prairie dogs, he also chases the cows, right? He loves to chase animals. Okay, what's one other thing that we can say about Tumbleweed? Porter. Huh?
What?
What's another thing that we can say, or another fact that we know, fact or detail about Tumbleweed?
So I can't really see this more.
Well, that's where it's tough. You'd have to think back. He runs all over the ranch. He loves to chase animals. What's another fact about Tumbleweed that you know?
Daddy has a lot of energy.
He has a lot of energy. Did Gavin tell you that?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if I like you two working together. You guys, I'm teasing. Good teamwork, guys. Okay? He seems to be energetic. Okay, what's our conclusion then? Based on these three things, let's come up with a statement about... Now, is everyone going to draw the same conclusion?
No.
No, you might draw a completely different conclusion about Tumbleweed. I'm going to let you guys have a second to think, then I'm going to draw a couple sticks and see what people came up with. Chase, what's your conclusion about Tumbleweed?
What?
What is your conclusion that you came up with about Tumbleweed? Chase, do you have a conclusion about Tumbleweed?
No.
Okay, try and come up with one. If you have one, let me know. Braxton, did you come up with a conclusion about Tumbleweed? You might be muted, Braxton. Braxton. Okay, Parker, we'll go to you.
My conclusion is that he is a very energetic dog and loves to run.
Okay. An energetic dog that likes to run. Braden, what's your conclusion about Tumbleweed?
Pretty much what Parker said.
Okay, it would have been cool if you could have put it in your own words. Rajan.
That is a very playful and nice dog.
He's a very playful and nice dog. Okay. Chase, you got one yet?
Yeah.
What is it?
That he's really energetic and he really likes to chase tumbleweeds.
Okay. Eva, what's yours? Ava. Okay, a nice and energetic dog. Mine might be something like, because when you draw a conclusion, guys, you want to take all of this information and put it into one thought. And we kind of got there that he's energetic, right? So, but I might say something like this. Tumbleweed is a very adventurous dog. Does that kind of summarize everything?
Yeah.
If he likes to run all over the ranch chase animals and is energetic. Is adventurous a good word to describe him?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you guys see how you're taking all of that information and putting it into one? So now, if you picked up your homework today, you're going to want drawing conclusions, page 120. There's also a spelling sheet on the other side. That's for later. Right now we're on the drawing conclusions side. You're going to use this very, very similar sheet that I have. It's a sheet very similar to the one that I have. I have ones for you too, because I had your guys' work ready to go. Cora and Gavin have entered the weight room. Macy, your job is if you ever see something pop up on my screen, you have to tell me.
Okay.
Is
Mr.
Braxton
Roth,
here? Ah, what?
Today I'm gonna have to walk like across the street and go to my dad to the car because my parents are quarantining.
Okay.
My dad just
Thanks for
told
telling me. I already had them prepared for you guys with your names on them. So, okay, so now we're drawing conclusions. I'm going to put this up on the smart board for those of us that aren't here. Escape. So again, up at the top it says drawing conclusions is forming an opinion based on what you already know or on the facts and details in the text. Check an author's conclusion or your own conclusion by asking, is this the only logical choice? Are the facts accurate? Directions say, read the following passage, then complete the diagram below by finding the facts and details to support the conclusion. So here we go. You guys ready to read?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to zoom in so people can see on the Zoom call. Can you guys see that okay on the Zoom call?
Yes.
Excellent. Here we go. A
Cowboys
job change with the seasons. In the fall, the cowboys brought cattle roaming on the open land to the ranch. They branded the cattle so they could keep track of them. Then, during the winter months, the cowboys fed the cattle and raised them. When spring arrived, the ranchers chose the cattle they wished to sell. Next, the cowboys would take the cattle on a long journey to a busy town so that others could buy the cattle. After the cowboys sold the cattle, they rested a little while before they started the process all over again. So I'm going to help you. I'm going to do the first one with you. The first one. One thing that they would do, I want you guys to look and see what did they do in the fall. What did they do in the fall? Look back at the text, find what they did in the fall. That is cowboys. What did they do in the fall, Elizabeth?
They caught the cattle and brought them to their ranch.
Okay, you should have something like that. Bring the cattle to the ranch. What else did they do? Bring the cattle to the ranch. What was the purpose of that? And what did they do once they got them there?
Branded the cattle.
Okay, and brand them. Okay, logically, if we just did fall, what would we do next?
Winter.
Yes.
Tired.
So number 2 should be winter. Write down what they did in the winter. What did the Cowboys do in the winter? Macy, what did they do in the winter?
And the Cowboys fed the cattle and raised them.
Okay, so raised the cattle. Then the last step would be to write down what did they do in the
Spring.
spring. Figure out what they did in the spring and write it down. Okay, who needs more time to figure out what to do in the spring? Okay, a couple people will maybe help you out. Maddie, what did they do in the spring?
In the spring they sold the cattle.
Okay. Sell the cattle. Then we need to draw a conclusion.
Can we write that down?
It may even be in the story. It may even be written in the words of the story. I'd like to hear what conclusion you draw. I'd like you to write that down. Might even be in the part that I zoomed in on. How are we doing, everyone?
Good.
Good.
Mr. Rob,
Yeah.
I don't have that.
Well, if you were listening, what I said to do then is it's in your work for this week that I've gotten ready at school, and you can follow along with us. And then when you get your work for this week, you'll kind of already know, it'll seem really easy because you'll already know what to do, right?
Yep.
Perfect. That's what I really wanted. All right, has everybody had the time to draw a conclusion? Are you working on it, Mackenzie? Are you writing it?
I'm working on it.
Okay, then you're pretty much done. You can just share it if your stick gets drawn. Braylon, what was your conclusion?
A cowboy's job changed with the seasons.
Oh, so good. So very good. Yes, that's a good conclusion to draw. and that was stated in the story, right?
Yeah.
You should probably have something like that, that a cowboy's job changed with the seasons, or a cowboy's job changes throughout the year, or something along those lines. Now, if you didn't have that, you don't just want to add that to the end of what you wrote that might have been wrong. You might want to erase the thing that maybe wasn't the actual conclusion and rewrite it. Not that anybody would do that. Okay, number 5 says, how could you decide if the facts and details in here are accurate? What could you do?
Look in the text.
Okay, how do we know that this text is accurate though? Mackenzie, what could you do?
You could go to the ranch and ask a couple cowboys if they actually do that.
If you knew any cowboys or knew a place where there were cowboys, you could ask, is this how you raise cattle? What else could you do if you couldn't do that?
Look it up on the internet.
You could look it up on the interweb. What else could you do?
If you have any family that knows about cowboy stuff, you could ask them.
You could do that. Anybody else, any ideas? You could go rent a new...
A farm.
You could rent a non-fiction book about cowboys. You could read a book about cowboys that's not fiction, but non-fiction. Non-fiction is true stuff, right? So put down something for number 5. Then on this side, you should probably write on it DTIC. Yes, that's what I would write. Okay? Then once you're done, flip it over to the spelling side. We'll go over the spelling worksheet. If you don't have the spelling sheet,
Too bad.
you'll have to do it when you get your work. I couldn't hear you. Nope, if you didn't have this sheet, you probably don't have the spelling sheet. That's true. But remember I said that all your work is ready. I have it in the office. So you just, when you get a chance, either Mr. Anderson will deliver it tomorrow, or you can pick it up. It's not a riddle.
It looked like it.
It did look like it. Okay, taking a look at our spelling. Yes. New spelling sheet. Spelling test tomorrow.
Pre-test.
Spelling pre-test. So, these are our words. You got 20 of them. Video, leaves, videos, leaves, radios, children, feet, cliffs, sheep, tornadoes, potatoes, men, cuffs, tomatoes, themselves, halves, beliefs, hoofs, lives, moose, patios, loaves. So it says, write the list word to complete the sentence. When the siren sounded, people turned on their, what would you turn on? Probably cuffs. No, that doesn't make sense.
Radio.
Okay, so you're only going to, oh, I heard somebody say it. I need everyone to look right here. We're going to pretend again this is the Men in Black thing. Everyone look, right here. Okay, no one remembers what that person said because I just wiped your memory clean with that Men in Black light beam thing that erases your memories. Okay, very good. Okay, so you're going to use 12 of the words in that way. Is there any excuse for writing the word wrong on the line?
No.
No. Hey, if you capitalize, like, if you were writing tornadoes and you wrote it like this, is that correct?
No.
Why is that incorrect?
That is a capital T.
It's a capital letter and it shouldn't be capitalized. Down below it says, write the list word that matches the definition. Values and ideals. That one might be a little tough. I think I'd maybe save it. Find the one that means the same as young people. Steep rocks, what would steep rocks be? Pictures on monitors. Large members of the deer family. Starchy foods with dark skins. Horses' feet, and woolly animals. Questions, comments, or concerns? When you're done, you hand this in. Then you can get out your, I guess